Hi guys, Jessie Ziegler here with Threaded Quilting Studio, and I have another free motion quilting tutorial for you today. This one is called, what am I calling it? I feel kind of weird coming up with these names sometimes. I'm calling this one Paisley Feathers. And an exciting new thing we're going to try, and I would love your feedback with this, is that I plan to upload my final drawing design that I am sketching out before your very eyes. I am planning to offer that as a PDF. If you would like to print out this exact same design that I'm sketching, I'm going to gray out or make the lines a little less prominent so that with your pen or pencil you can follow along my shapes and we can draw this together. This is just extra training wheels for you to go ahead and jump in, start practicing, but then by all means take the training wheels away and try your own. Quilters, as we progress and the more experience we get, the more quilts we have under our belt, the more our designs start looking like handwriting. Honestly, it's like I can look at quilters I admire without having seen a quilt before, and I can identify sometimes that was quilted by so-and-so. So develop your personal hand and take these as just ideas or suggestions or starting places and start experimenting and developing your own style. I know that you can do it. So yeah, let's get started with the paisley feathers. The first step is we're going to make a shape that is like an arc. It looks like a teardrop too, and I've heard this design called the headband. I'm just echoing this a few times. And now I'm going to start the feather part. I'm going to use this last echoed shape as a spine for branching my feathers from. So I ended up right here. The first shape is going to be just a slow arcing, I don't even know what shape. That's going to be our first feather. The first ones, I think, don't always look the greatest. It's like the first pancake. They're never good. Just toss it out. You're not going to toss this out, but you're not going to become discouraged when this doesn't look like anything either. Just hang with me. So from here, I'm going to make a rounded shape, and I'm going to head back in to our faux spine. And then from here, I'm going to pivot outward and just make that feather shape, building on the last one that came before. So I'm aiming to come, or when I'm going out, I'm aiming to split the distance between the shape or the line that I just quilted and the area that I have left. It's going to make for elongated, elegant type feathers. And that's one of the secrets to getting your feathers from looking too fat and misshapen. So from here, let's see, I went out and I touched the feather underneath. So I'm going to backtrack on that quilting line until I can clear some space to make my next feather. So that's right here, and keeping in mind that I want to fill in the area next to the edge as much as possible, I'm going to fan that feather out and head right back toward the spine. Now I would keep my needle down, of course, here, but from here I'll pivot out, kind of splitting the distance a little bit like I mentioned, and rounding that feather shape until I'm touching the feather that I previously stitched. So from here, I'm backtracking until I have enough room, and you can, when I'm just starting and when I basically have the whole design to work with, so this doesn't have to be aimed at anything specific, just whatever look that you want. So I'm going to round myself up on the feather and then start branching out and coming back to touch the spine. So I'll keep doing that. And as you'll see, this kind of makes a gentle arcing or arching around the shape. I have this barrier to work with, the edge of my quilt, so I'm going to put my feathers, make my feathers fill the space that I have. So I'm going to backtrack and just come out here. It doesn't have to be perfect. So from here, I can go over to my line and work my way up to the next section of the quilt. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to make a new headband shape. So I've got one, the initial echo, and then I've echoed one time around here. I'm going to echo one time around here. So now, by starting at the other edge of the headband shape or the paisley shape, I am going to begin my feathers this way and then go the other direction from left to right, whereas these I started right and going left. And I'm just going to gently slope narrowly out against my edge. And that really is just the feather that I'm going to use to build the next feather plumes that have more personality and style and direction. But that's my building block. So I'm not even going to echo back very much. I'm just going to use that to work my way, this feather, working it back to my spine. And you'll notice just looking ahead that this would be really nice. This corner right here would be really nice to fill feathers in. So let's see, I ended up here. I'm going to pivot out and I'm going to aim to fill the space. So I've just made contact with the previously stitched feather, and I'm backtracking along the edge of that your new feather shape, and then I'm just going to stop and work my way on top of the feather that I just stitched. So I've hit my spine and I'm pivoting back out and I'm going to fill in that space. I've echoed on top of that last feather and I'm coming all the way to touch my spine again. I'm going to just continue doing that. Your feathers can be as long as you want, as short as you want, as narrow as you want, as thick as you want. Remember what I said about developing your own personal style. And right here, I'm just going to aim to fill in this area here. I'm going to stop here and then put some short little feathers in here. That should be good. I'm going to echo back on the tops. And right here is where I'm going to stop, and I'm going to make that the location of my next paisley shape. So you can add that in here. I'm going to echo one more time. touch the spine here. I'm not gonna, just because there'd be too many lines of thread if I went back and forth all the way to the origin of that design. So I'm just gonna stop here, and I'm going to make my first feather here. Second feather that just builds from it. So I'm going to continue meeting up with my spine and pivoting out, and just kind of being mindful of the space that I want to fill down here, but also realizing that it's got to stop somewhere. Let's not get carried away. I'm not going to fill this whole space with feathers. I'm going to make them somewhat proportional to the paisley shape. Backtrack and angle my way back into the spine. Pivot, backtrack, angle in, pivot, backtrack, angle back in. Okay. From here, I would backtrack to a new area and make a new paisley shape. From here, I would make my first feather, and I'm going to aim to go all the way over here so I can fill in the shape. I've heard these called hook feathers before, which is a useful term because you're just hooking into the last plume that you drew. And then I'm working my way back out and beginning a new paisley. And you can put a little curve in your paisley if you want. Making my first feather out here and using that to just make a whole series of feathers onto. Okay, I was going to go put another one, but there's no need. So here, there's not going to be a whole lot of room for new feathers to branch out of. So I'm just going to go around here and make the feathers come in this small direction, or this small space. And that is fine. We can just take that branch from it. See, you can, this paisley shape here, I've put a little bit more curve into it to fill the space. And actually I'm going to come over one more time so I don't have to worry about filling in feathers over here. I would just come out in one direction, that being my first feather plume off of this paisley shape, and I would come back and start working this side, and you can see the size of my feathers directly correlates to how much space I have to fill. Okay, backtrack over here and make my next paisley. And then work my way out. This is actually a long way to backtrack, but I found that over the tops are the best way unless you can get to an edge. In that case, I might have been able to sneak over here and follow the edge, but either way, we're to a new area, so we're going to put one more paisley shape here. And just to show you I can, I'm only going to echo it twice so I can start over here. Okay. What I wanted to say here is I can make this really short. Your eye just does the rest of the work imagining the rest of the petal behind the shape, so you don't even have to make it a big deal. It can just be a short little feather to begin with. That is done. It is much easier than it looks. Again, my name is Jessie Ziegler with Threaded Quilting Studio. My website is threadedquilting.com. You can connect with me on Instagram at threadedquilting or send me an email at threadedquilting@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching. Bye.